Essequibo belongs to Guyana.
Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Nagasia Logan, and joining me in studio is Minister of Public Service, Sonia Parag, and Captain Gerald Gavaya. Thank you very much for joining us. And we will be discussing today the activities planned for the Venezuela referendum, what the government has planned, both publicly and privately, to address this issue. Minister,
Good
what does the
afternoon.
government have planned?
All right, so good afternoon, Cassie. Thank you for being on the program this afternoon. And so, as you know, we've had quite a bit of facts leading up to today's date. And as a result of an arbitral award that was granted or awarded in 1899, demarcating the boundaries of what we know as Guyana, all 83,000 square miles, as well as what Venezuela depicts on the world map. Those boundaries were determined by an arbitral award in 1899. And for 6 decades, it was accepted by Venezuela. In 1966, when we were approaching independence, Venezuela decided that they wanted to raise an issue of borders, raise an issue of claiming that they own the Essequibo, or 2/3 of our country. And you know the rest that led up to the ICJ, the matter being taken to the ICJ. Now, the ICJ is going to make a decision in a few days. And we know and we verily believe that Essequibo belongs to Guyana. So the Maduro government has decided that they are going to hold a referendum on the 3rd of December, asking 5 programmed questions. When I say programmed questions, those questions can only lead to the population saying yes if they decide to vote on that referendum. And that the questions that are being asked can only be seen as a threat to Guyana, to a threat to peace, a threat to our country as we know it, and a threat to the wider Caribbean region and Latin America. So, what Guyana is going to do is we have a series of planned events to show that one, our position is always going to be peace, one of peace. We are also a unified country, and we are going to show that this is a national issue, and we are going to rise up as a nation and show that we stand together. You know, there's that phrase, united we stand, divided we fall, and it has never meant more in Guyana or anywhere in the world as it does today. And we believe that by these activities, taking part in or participating in these activities, all of Guyana, whether you be children, adults, public servants, senior citizens, we are all going to show that we are one Guyana. We are one people with one nation, headed for one destiny. And so we have these activities planned from the 27th, which is Monday. And the Monday activities will be an awareness and sensitization activities that will be with the public sector as well as the private sector. And that is, of course, letting the public be aware of what the facts are, because we believe strongly in democracy and the rule of law, and everything that we have done in this particular matter has been in accordance with laws and international law, to be specific, and we're not going to deviate from that. We're not going to deviate from that. So we want the public to be aware of the facts of the matter, as well as what our position is and will be. So that sensitization will, of course, cover all of Guyana because you have the private sector and the public sector involved. We have activities planned on the 1st of December in which we will encourage persons to wear their national colors, and it's a strong encouragement. It's not just we want it to be an option, you know. Guyanese, at the end of the day, are very proud to be Guyanese, irrespective of your ethnicity, irrespective of your political persuasion. This is an issue where I have seen every Guyanese coming together and saying, Essequibo belongs to us. Guyana belongs to us. And it is a day of prayer. It is a day of holding hands. It is a day of joining together, coming together as we know our nation to be, peacefully praying and encouraging each other, giving hope to each other that our country will be and remain peaceful, and by a wider extension, the Caribbean as well. Moving on from there, on the 3rd of December, we also have activities which we will have the Circle of Unity, and that will be held centrally at the National Stadium. But we are encouraging the regions, and I am particularly, I have responsibility for Region 5, and I do know that we will be holding that session from 7 to 8 in the morning at different venues in Region 5, and I believe other regions will be doing it as well. And it will be a national effort and national cohesion, so to speak. And this is what the face of Guyana looks like. And that is all that we are portraying on that day, because we are a unified people.
Thank you, Minister. So, Captain Gavaya, can you tell me specifically how do these national events aim to raise awareness in both the private and public sectors, and what outcomes are you anticipating?
I think the minister was very clear that this is a time for when this nation have always been unified on this issue. There's never been a time in our history in the last 60 years or today when this country is more unified against Venezuela claim to our land. And so I have no illusions that there's any kind of disunity. We do have people playing the race game on this time, and I urge them to stop it. This is a time for us to come together to confront this serious challenge to our country. But I wanted to, in the private sector, we have listened to the government call, and the private sector have been meeting quite a lot, and the private sector is very well armed and secure and ready to join the visual demonstration of this unity. So throughout the country, private sector companies will be taking the time off to talk to their staff about this issue. They'll be wearing T-shirts. They'll be putting logos on and banners on their buildings. They're going to be doing press releases, and everybody's going to be speaking with one voice. Back off, Venezuela. Leave us alone. We have never troubled you. In fact, Venezuelans are not our enemies. Venezuelans are not our enemies. As a country, we have opened a loving, welcoming arm to Venezuelan migrants who have been suffering in their country, and they're looking for a place to come and be safe and have jobs and to be respected where the rule of law and democracy is alive and well. And, a lot of us as well, we remember the time when many, many Guyanese left Guyana and went to Venezuela. And so, and they lived there, 60,000 to 70,000 of them lived in a place called Portudaz. And when the tables turned, Guyana did exactly the same thing. We opened our arms. So Guyana and Venezuela, we now have a lot of Guyanese married Venezuelan children who are Guyanese. And so this is not just about two neighbors. This is not just about two nations that are joined by a land, but this is two nations that are joined in families, in unity, in the union of children and heritage and so on. And so this is not a time for us to talk about conflict. This is a time for us to talk about peace. And every time you listen to President Ali speak about this, this is a case where we have an army that is there to secure our peace, not to go to war. We have no intention of any conflict. And so the private sector is 100% behind the government. I want to just say something that when Sonia made the background to the explanation of the background, at one time there was something called Gran Colombia, where the entire landmass of South America was under a banner called Grand Colombia, which included Colombia, Venezuela, and parts of Guyana.
Yeah.
And that was like in 1850, 1860. And then by 1875, those lands the borders were drawn by the international community, whoever it was at that time. And what was interesting, when Guyana was drawn, Guyana was the map we have today, including the Escribo, plus a huge part of that land was inside of Venezuela, was where Venezuela is now. So Guyana was a lot larger country than it is today, and is back then. And so when Venezuela insisted that we have this 1899 award, and we went to that award, Guyana lost tremendous amount of territory to Venezuela in 1899. So when the British had agreed to the award in 1899, and Venezuela was very happy because they won a large part of Guyana territory into Venezuela in 1899. And we lived happily together. For 60 years, Venezuela went there and they helped draw the boundaries. They went to Mount Roraima in 1931.
Yeah.
And they went and built the trilateral marker in Mount Roraima, where the three countries, Brazil, Guyana, and Venezuela, demonstrated where the borders were. And just as a point I made, Minister, in 1996, I went to Mount Roraima to plant the Guyana flag. And when I got there, I went to the trilateral marker, and the marker is still there. Brazil marker is still on their side. The Venezuelans had destroyed the Guyana side of it, and on the Venezuelan side, they actually replaced it with a brand new marker in 1985, showing this is the Venezuelan border in 1985. So to see them do what they're doing today, it's greed, and unfortunately, it is not led by the Venezuelan people. This is led by a Venezuelan government that somehow is driven by greed and driven by some geopolitical agendas. And as Guyanese, we must understand this, and this is a time when I think the world is watching this, and the reassuring thing I believe our citizens must understand: we are not in this alone. We are a democracy. We are a country that respects the rule of law, international law, and our allies and our friends all over the world are standing with Guyana. And over the next couple of weeks, you're going to see that in tangible ways. You're going to see the presence in this country of our friends and our allies who are going to tell Venezuela to back off. But as a people, we must demonstrate to the world as well that we are prepared to say exactly the same thing. And so if you notice, President Ali over the last couple of days actually went there and walked the borderline, and to tell the Guyanese that, listen, we are there, our government is there, he is there, he's going to be leading from the front. He went to our troops, and I would tell you, I was there, and it was the most. I'm a passionate patriot of Guyana. When I went there with President Ali and I watched him, whatever I felt is now 100 times fold. He is a leader that I believe all of us should be proud of. He led from the front. He was there. We were sleeping with our soldiers. We were eating with our soldiers. We were talking to the citizens. And across this country now, especially in our western boundaries, our people are unified. Yeah. And the international community will see that.
I also see that there are a number of expert talks going on around schools, Minister.
Well, what we have done is that, again, these are all sensitization sessions. And so, yes, we have started in the schools, led by the Ministry of Education as well as the Attorney General, and those who have been a part and parcel of the matter in the ICJ and would have first-hand knowledge of the facts, as well as having a working knowledge of the school system. But just to touch back, I really want to say this publicly because I have not had the opportunity to say this. But I am very proud of our armed forces, our armed force. I am so proud, and I want them to know that, I'm sure they know this already, but it's good to hear it from maybe the other ministers as well as myself. We are 100% behind them, 100% in support of, and we encourage them to be their best, which I'm sure they will be, but we are proud. And we thank them every day for standing up and protecting. We have never been faced with a situation like this, and so they have risen to the challenge so far, and I thank them personally, and I'm very sure our government.
So just to back up, President Ali made the point over and over that in today's world of technology, while we don't have a large, mighty army, what we do have is an army that pays a lot of attention. We have the technology.
Yes.
So I want to tell you, and people who are sometimes saying, "Oh, we are not seeing a large amount of soldiers," I want to assure you that our forces are on the line. Our forces are in the creeks, they're in the rivers, they're in the mountains, and they're there and they're alert and they're passionate about what they're doing.
Yeah.
And we are looking and we know exactly what is happening. We are seeing them, we are hearing them, and we know exactly what is happening. And our forces, this is with Venezuela. This has actually been going on for a long time. I made the point, even as a young army pilot myself, I flew into the at the time just after the protocol of Port of Spain was expired in 1982, and I would be going into land in Venezuela, and military jets would come close to my plane to use their wake turbulence to try to turn my plane over. So they were always a very aggressive. Took these aggressive postures all the time. So, and over the years, I want to tell you, our Guyana Defense Force always they're brave men and women. They stood up there day and night to hold the line on our borders, and they're doing it today, and we are very, very proud of them.
Yeah.
As we close, can you send some reassuring words to our public out there?
Well, last night myself and Captain Gavaya attended an event where the president spoke, and I myself got goosebumps listening to the president speak, and it was his words exactly, or just a part of the speech that he had. His words exactly were, "Do not burden your hearts." And I would say to the Guyanese people, trust your government, trust your armed force and joint services to do what they have to do. Because, one, we will always, first and foremost, take a position of peace. We will take a position of unity. We will take a position of democracy, of following the rule of law. But we will leave no stone unturned to protect our country. We will leave no stone unturned. And we will ensure that every effort is spent to protect our people and our country. So we ask our people to trust us. We ask our people to stand with us, because this is not just about people on the Essequibo coast. This is about our nation, and we are grateful for the unwavering support of the international community on this issue. We are very grateful to them because they have been consistent and they have been strong in their words to Venezuela. And we will not back down on any issue that threatens our country's peace. But at the same time, we will always adhere to the rule of law. So we want our people to know that we're not sleeping on this issue. We will not sleep on this issue. We will continue to face every adversity with the strength and the resilience that we know and that we have as a people and as Guyanese.
Captain Gavaya?
I think the minister said it as strong as could be said. And like I said, I was there. And Sonia, I'm so happy to hear you talk about the confidence that all Guyanese should have in our armed forces.
Yeah.
And when you put on that uniform, it's really an honor to do what we are doing. And I think the good news is President Ali have really been winning friends and influencing people all over this world only because of he's such a genuine man and he's a passionate advocate for democracy and the rule of law. And the Western world, and we are in the Caribbean. The Caribbean is a zone of peace and the Caribbean is a place of democracy. Venezuela is the only pariah state where democracy and the rule of law is not. And they need to take care of their citizens. We are taking care of them. They need to spend the time taking care of them. In the meantime, we are taking care of our Guyanese brothers and sisters. We are taking care of the Venezuelans. And I want to tell you, I am hearing overwhelming support by Venezuelans living in Guyana, supporting the Guyanese position. Let us live in peace. But just be reassured that I would want to say is that President Ali is not sleeping. And we are leaving no stone unturned. And our armed forces are not on their hands and their laurels. Every single day, 24 hours a day, this matter is being dealt with and looked at daily with our allies as well.
Yes. I wanted to just
The last word.
finally say that I'll encourage all Guyanese to come out on the 27th, on the 1st, on the 3rd, the 27th of November, that is the 1st and the 3rd of December. And even throughout the week, I'll encourage them to be the patriots that I know Guyanese are, because when you leave this country, every Guyanese is proud to be a Guyanese. So be proud to be at home and be a Guyanese. And I want you to come out in your numbers and show this world that we are a people that will continue to bond, that will continue to coexist peacefully, and we are a people that are going to stand up when any situation arises for us to do so. We will stand up in unity.
I hate to do this, but I really want to say that this plea that we are making must not only be the Guyanese at home, Guyanese all over this
the
world.
That's right.
I want them to do the same thing. I want them to talk to the congressmen. I want them to talk to their representatives in Canada, in the UK, across the Caribbean. We must remind the nation that our country is under serious threat at this time. But I just wanted to make the point about the issue of December 3rd. December 3rd, the Venezuelans are going to this referendum. There's two court cases. One is one that we went to the court to give us some measures to stop Venezuela from
measures.
reacting to the questions. The questions in the referendum, like the minister said, is very dangerous because it is it will encourage people, incite people to take some particular action. The war will stop them from doing that, and that is what will happen very shortly. The court case to do with whether Escobar belongs, and whether 1899 award was valid, is probably going to come in 2024.
Yeah.
But immediately within the next couple of days, we should be looking for the provisional measures from the court. And all of us must be there, and we must be very, very supportive of each other across the world. So Guyanese, wherever you are, wherever you're hearing my voice, if you're in Canada, in the United States, in the UK, in the Caribbean, in Australia, Guyanese must follow the guidelines. We must publish that guidelines, and we ask Guyanese all over this world, stand up with us against this bullyism that is happening from Venezuela.
Yes. And I am Essequibian by birth, and I grew up there for 13 years. So this is closer to home than anything else. So, I encourage again all Guyanese to come out and participate in all the activities that we have. This is not just government, this is a national effort.
Thank you very much, Captain Gerald Govaya. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Minister Sonia
Thank you for
Parag.
having us.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Essequibo belongs to Guyana.